Hello, everyone. We're live. I'm joined by Jordan, the Vegan Campout founder, and we've got a Q&A session for today. We're going to grill him a bit on the upcoming campout. We're going to talk about some new things coming up, things to be excited for, and we're going to obviously press him on a few of the little controversies and stuff that there's been about certain things. So, Jordan, how are you doing today, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm good. I thought it's about time. Had a chat with my brother from another mother, the black sheep of the Martin family.
Indeed.
But no, I'm good. Just chilling in London at the moment. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, looking forward to asking you some questions, man. We've got a few people here in the comments here already, so yeah, welcome everyone to the stream. Right, let's get the ball rolling then, Jordan. Where is the camp out going to be this year, and what is it about the new venue that you can tell us?
Yeah, so this year it's being held at a venue called Bygrave Woods. It's like a purpose-built kind of festival venue, but I'll get into that in a bit more in a minute. And yeah, it's going to be in Hertfordshire this year, North Hertfordshire. It's about a 50-minute train direct line from London, although that's not why we moved there, as a few people have thought, but that's just, yeah, it's quite ideal, good transport through to London. And yeah, so it's just going to feel like a very different event this year because obviously we've been at Bicester for the last few years, and whilst that was good, I think the overall kind of commentary from people, and understandably because I fully agreed, was that it's just a very flat site, a very windy site. There's only trees all the way around the outside, and so yeah, it feels quite open and doesn't really have much character like Stamford Hall did the year before, or Newark Showground did back in the day. So that was one of the main reasons for really wanting to move somewhere new that had like trees and woodland and character and wasn't so flat. But also it was just the fact that like how we were running it before at kind of like the higher numbers of 12 to 13,000, quite honestly, it just became too stressful for me and certain other people on the team as well, because we're a very, very small team. But also just like the financial worries, as I'm sure people can understand, of like needing to hit so many, like, 10,000 plus people just to even try and break even. So like, yeah, just from a financial point and also from just like a stress point, we really wanted to like make it back to kind of like the 2019 kind of numbers, 7.5-ish thousand, but have a way better event that feels more fun and has more going on. We've got more music and DJ sets than ever before this year, and we've got like open mic sessions and yoga and meditation and hot tubs and cold plunge and all stuff like that happening in like the wooded area. So yeah, it's just going to feel like such a amazing atmosphere this year, as well as the extra day, because we work all year to do this, and equally people look forward all year to come in, and then it's over in 72 hours. So for that to now be whatever 72 plus 24 extra hours is going to feel like the longest vegan camp out we've ever had. So
The bearded vegan in the comments just asks, how long now, people? Can you just clarify for everyone how long it is until this year's camp out, Jordan?
2.5 months. So, well, not exactly, but round up to a week.
Good stuff. And yeah, on the venue stuff, yeah, look, my feedback from attending almost all of the previous campouts is I've loved every single campout that I've been to without fail. But I for sure agree that some of the venues just didn't have that kind of soul, didn't have the kind of charm that maybe the smaller venues has had. Then there's just huge, big, flat, wide open venues. They don't have that same character, do they? And what is kind of the charm of this new venue? What is it that you look at about the new place? So it's smaller, it's going to be more intimate then, as it were, which I think is great. I've preferred, I think, the smaller campouts. What is it that when you saw this venue you thought, yes, this is the one, we've got to have this?
I mean, every year we look at venues anyway, even if, you know, we've agreed at a venue for a few years, we're still always looking at what's coming up, what's available. And, you know, I'm sure we'll get into some of that stuff more as well. But, you know, it was also down to like, we just felt probably Camp Out couldn't stay and do what we needed it to do as a festival at the old venue as well. So, you know, we could have still spoke to them potentially about extending it, but, you know, we'd had some chats. And so we were just looking out there, you know, what's available at the moment, because a lot of venues are booked up for, you know, 3 to 5 years in advance too, which, you know, people don't understandably always realize. And yeah, this venue kind of like popped up again. It was one that we visited back in 2021. I wish now that we'd moved there, you know, for 2022 onwards. But at the time, we were very much still wanting to be like a 13,000 person festival. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this year we can actually consider this venue properly. And yeah, there's so many things you've got to consider when picking a new venue in terms of dates, obviously price from, you know, just a budgeting point of view, the aesthetics, which breaks down into, you know, so many different areas, the timings that you can go to, if they're even interested in holding you, which a lot of venues are not interested in holding a vegan event, just because, you know, they have a particular perception of veganism, vegans as people, which is a shame. But, you know, there's so many venues that don't ever want to have a vegan event for that reason. So yeah, just so many things, that factors that go into it. And this was by far the best one that took all of that into consideration. And of course, I kind of allured to it just, but it's not just if venues want to have you because of controversy, it's also for us what them venues do as a venue. So like, are they a farm? Do you know what I mean? Are they like a shooting estate? Are they, you know, are they big on like agriculture and horse riding and, you know, racing and all of that kind of stuff? And yeah, them issues have affected like every venue we've been at. So that's also a thing you've got to take into consideration. And this venue just came out by far on top. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things that we'll get into later in the stream is that people, I guess, are saying this isn't something you took into consideration. So maybe we'll get to that point later. What are some of the actual features of this year's Camp Out that you can tell us about that are new? So obviously it's going to be new venue and stuff. Will there be any new kind of activities or stuff going on on the actual Camp Out itself that people can look forward to?
Yeah, lots actually. So obviously it's not really an activity, but I mentioned it's also going to be a whole day longer this year, which is really exciting, because we get to do everything. We get to do there for a whole 24 hours longer. We also have our new music area called the Jungle. So just to speak a little about that for those listening. Obviously in the past we've had Slipshod. Last year Ellis like organized a new area called the Block, and that was for all like rap music and blah blah blah. So this year we were like, okay, this venue has like a purpose built open air outside DJ area that loads of other festivals use for like big, you know, drum and bass festivals and stuff. I was like, what if we like combined all of our little DJ areas from the previous years, but also then added way more genres to it than we've ever had, and we will market this as the most varied genre DJ area of any event in the UK, and it actually is. I test anyone to challenge that, but yeah. So basically, that is going to be all day on the Thursday as well. So the extra day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think there's like 10 DJ sets per day going on in there of every subgenre of dance music, rock music, rap music, etc.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt, but I just want to tell people how varied that is going to be for anyone who doesn't believe Jordan. I'm playing a drum and bass set that you can catch me. I think it's 7 p.m. on the Saturday night. Jordan's doing a punk set. I think what time's yours?
10 until 1, I believe.
10 until 1. And then we've got people like David Rams, who's doing like a death metal set or something. So it's an insane amount of genres. We've got like drum and bass flying around. We've got a bit of fucking garage here. We've got hip hop, grime, we've got death metal, we've got
soul, funk, reggae, ska, so much.
Right. Yeah, so that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, so got that, and then we've also got, as I mentioned earlier, like a brand new spa and relaxation area. So if you're into that, it's not done through us; it's done through a complete third-party company. But yeah, that has hot tubs, massage, sauna, cold plunge, like all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's another new thing we've had. And then there's just like other improvements to the festival in terms of like where I think we're having around 33% more toilets in like every area. So that's cool.
That's good.
Like
Yeah.
it's insane how much we're spending on toilets and showers this year, but I want to get it right. Very much want to get it right
Yeah.
and make people happy.
Because let's face it, toilets are always the worst thing ever about festivals.
Yeah.
And some years it's gone very bad for Camp Out, and some years it's gone very good. I say very bad. It's always been better than most festivals.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
But some years, you know, with the amount things cost and with how estimating things and how many people are going to buy tickets in the end and all this kind of stuff, ordering all these things, food vendors, the amount of toilets, the amount of showers that you have and stuff. So has that been? This is a silly question, but has that been stressful this year, organizing all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it is because, like I say, we're having more than we've ever had. Like I remember when we posted on Instagram like a year ago that all toilets and I have to still remember how to say that word, toilets and showers. That it was like 60, 65K or something, and there was the amount of people that didn't believe it, and now we're in like six-figure digits for toilets and showers. It's like it's such a big thing to get right. But I feel like people are really gonna like it this year. On top of that, we also just have more cleaning than we've ever had to actually clean them, because that's like one of the hardest things of keeping them in good condition. We also, even still speaking on toilets, we have the introduction of some compost toilets for the first time, which lots of people have been asking us to get over the years because they're way more eco, and yeah, they're basically just really eco. They're not all going to be compost because again, they're like really, really expensive. But I think we've got like 15 or something like that just to like try it out and stuff. Yeah, more coffee. I mean, yeah, they're the main changes. Different capacity, different venue, an extra day, a new DJ area, the mindful like spa area, more coffee, more toilets. And they're the main changes really. Aside from that, almost everything else is the same, although there will be a few small things.
How the hell is the hot tub thing going to work? Because I think a lot of people are probably watching this just thinking, what, there's just going to be like 1,000 people queuing up for like a little jacuzzi or something. Like, how is this going to work?
Yeah, so no, like you book a slot essentially. So like there's only ever going to be 15 to 20 people in the whole spa center at once. So the hot tub still won't have any more than 4 or 5 people in, but at the same time you can pay more and have like a hot tub to yourself or a hot tub with a friend. There's a whole range of packages based on if you just want to do one thing or you want to do everything, if you want it private, if you want to do it in a group. So yeah, that's like if you go on our Instagram and just click our link tree, there'll be a link that says sauna spa.
Cool. And yeah, tell us about the chill out area. Like what is that? What does it involve, and why did you decide to have one this year?
Yeah, so basically, like obviously normally everything's just outside. It has been for the last few years, and even at Stamford Hall everything was outside except from like the little rave that we had in 2022. But this year, because the event has got so much woodland, which a few people also thought that's where our DJ sets are going to be, and they're not. It's not super far from it. It's probably like 200-250 meters because it's a small site, but that's a different area. But in our actual woodland, we only wanted to have calm and like peaceful activities there. So that's going to be like acoustic open mic. It's going to be where the hot tubs and the massage is going to be, and it's also going to be where like the yoga and the meditation is going to be. So most of them things we've had in the past, except from the spa and sauna. But we just figured that will be a really nice area there. It's also where we're going to put the majority of the picnic benches. So like people can get food, and within like a 10-second walk, you can be like in the woods eating your food in case, you never know. Could be raining, could be a heat wave that weekend. So it's good that we've got like natural shade, basically.
Let's talk now about the acts. Who's performing, talking, singing, doing any kind of speeches this year? Who are the people on stage this year? Obviously, you can't name them all because we'll be here all day, but pick out some people that people might know and be like, damn, so and so's performing this year.
Yeah, I still brought on my list. Otherwise, I always every year I'm like, who is it this year? Like when you're in your 9th year now, like it's
because you rotate every year as well. You'll have a different headline act to the year before and so on. You always alternate, so it gets a bit confusing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means it's even more different because most festivals will have artists from the year before. But like when I set up Camp Out, and I'd start going to a lot more festivals around the world that did this whole like no repeats from the previous year, which makes it even harder because, as you can imagine, your pool of vegan artists, which is always changing because people are not vegan anymore or new people are turning vegan, it's already a very select pool. So then to have like a completely different lineup each year does make it more difficult, but I also think it makes for a better, more sustainable event. So yeah, anyway, this year Bosch are back. Obviously, they were last back in 2023. Sarah Pascoe, which is probably like the one people are most looking forward to in terms of someone they haven't seen, before at Camp Out. She's someone we've tried to get on the lineup since probably 2017 at this point. So she's probably one of our longest like people we've tried to get. Almost had her last year, but then things changed just before our announcement, so didn't get to have her. Also, first time ever at Vegan Camp Out is Kip Anderson. Obviously director, filmmaker of Cowspiracy, What the Health, Seaspiracy, etc. Yeah, Cryspiracy, of course. And then we have Josh Franceschi again making a return from a few years back, lead singer of Yumi at 6. He'll be DJing one of because even though we've got all these DJ sets in the jungle, that's the name of the stage, we're still going to have the main like nighttime after party in the music stage each night. So that's why there's just so much going on this year. And so yeah, he will still be like headlining like the generic kind of rock DJ set. Dale Vince from Ecotricity, technically he did speak last year, but it wasn't officially on the lineup. Like he was doing like a panel on the education stage, but so many people said they wanted to see him as like a proper main stage speaker, so we made that happen. He's obviously a legend, does so much for the vegan cause, donates so much money to great things, owner of Ecotricity, owner of Forest Green Rovers, so yeah, he's a legend. And then just a few quick other ones: Matt Pritchard from Dirty Sanchez, Mobius Loop, these people have obviously all been a few times. Zachary Bird, first time at Camp Out. Alexis Gautier, first time at Vegan Camp Out. Ethelwood is back, the drum and bass artist. A few activists that have never been before. Obviously, a lot of your audience are activists, so we've got like Bite Size Vegan finally making her first appearance.
Really looking forward to seeing Eleanor. Yeah, really looking forward to that.
It'll be good. So Callum Harris, he's like an influencer chef type person, his first time as well. I mean, they're all like the main speakers or music people. We have then got like a whole music stage which has a whole load of different artists and up and coming artists performing as well, which people can check on our Instagram. So
is Tash Peterson here this year again?
Yes. I just didn't say her. There's a whole load of people I didn't say.
Fiona Oakes. You've got to say Tash Peterson, dude.
Fiona Oakes as well. She hasn't, I think last time she spoke was like Camp Out 2021. So that's cool. Like many years later, she's doing another talk. So yeah, a very wide array of activists, comedians, chefs, and people that have never been to Camp Out before. So it's quite interesting.
It makes it so worth the ticket price, because you do get people complain every year who say it's too expensive, and yeah, stuff is expensive in 2025. It just is. Everything is now expensive, unfortunately. But for what you're actually getting at Vegan Camp Out, it is the best value for money festival in the country. You're squeezing in all these that's a crazy amount of acts that you've got in, and then you've got, is it 4 days camping this year? You've got all this stuff going on. You've got all the different activities. Like the amount for the price that you do pay, I think it's an insanely good value for money festival. In fact, can you just remind?
About 160 performances in total this year across all the stages. So yeah, it's crazy.
Unbelievable. And remind people actually of the tiers for like the ticket pricing and stuff, because you have different packages, don't you? So you have like the standard, you have like VIP, you have glamping. Tell us about those packages and the cost differences.
Yeah, so the main ticket essentially gets you access to everything within the festival. As I always tell people, the only things you have to pay for are things you physically buy. So, you know, items from stalls, obviously food. Also, if you want to, like I said earlier, book on at the spa and sauna, that's an extra thing. But aside from that, everything else is included in your ticket, and camping is also included in that. But then if you can't be bothered, or you're coming from like an international country and you don't want to have to bring a tent, lug it over, find a spot, set it up, take it back down, take it back home, you can do pre-pitch camping that has everything already set up for you, different options where you can get sleeping bags and pillows. And I think the owners of that company are vegan themselves, so like that's great to have, like, you know, a vegan company involved in that. So yeah, that's that. There's also glamping, which is much more, you know, boutique and has beds and, you know, electricity. Some options even have mini fridges and clothing rails for your clothes. So right up to like there's 4 beds in one glamping tent if you're in a group of like 10 or 12 people. It is expensive, but like if you split it between everyone, it's probably only going to work out, you know, between 100 and 200 pounds each, so a bit more affordable. And then there's VIP, that is 99 pounds extra, I believe, and that gives you entry 3 hours before anyone else. It gives you a private VIP chill out area that's open all weekend. That even in that there is private seating, DJ sets, games,
bar and everything as well.
Yeah, bar, food vendors, toilets, showers.
Yeah.
And obviously you get your VIP camping area as well. You also get a festival T-shirt as part of the bundle. Yeah, I mean, they're the main things. Obviously, there's different parking options, whether you're coming in a car, whether you're getting the coach from the train station, whether you're bringing a caravan. You know, you're also allowed to stay off-site and book a hotel yourself and just come in and out each day. We have day tickets if you don't want to make it for the whole weekend. We also have the extra day pass for the Thursday, which is a separate thing. So there's so many different combinations you can do. The best place to like see what all of them are is just our ticket page, because it takes you through all of the different sections and you just like add on what you want, and then it gives you like a custom bundle at the end, basically. So yeah.
Now the Bearded Vegan asks, will there be Wi-Fi this year?
Yes, there will. One of the only downsides of this venue being more in the countryside is it's like it was at Stamford Hall, and there isn't very good phone signal there. So, you know, that's one of the things we've had to spend quite a bit on to, you know, have enough signal for people to buy Wi-Fi, basically. I think we're making it super cheap, like £3 for the weekend or something like that. You know, there should still sometimes maybe be phone signal like any other festival. I'm sure you can walk, you know, for a bit and find some signal, or come out of the festival and, you know, walk a bit further to get signal. But on site, the best thing to do will be to buy the Wi-Fi, so you can it's still not going to be there to like stream YouTube videos or watch Netflix, but because that would just use too much bandwidth. But, you know, for texting, for posting your photos, posting your videos, calling people, Wi-Fi will be in place. Yeah.
Good stuff. And then Mobius Maximus asks, will the camp out go international eventually? There was an Australia one year, we can just say. So there was the Australia one 2 years ago or so. But then plans for the future?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't strong plans at the moment. It's always, you know, on the back burner. Like, I don't just say that every time people ask this question. Like, only about 4 months ago, we had a meeting with a big company to, you know, like, these things just take a long time. And unlike the UK one, and George, because you were at it, that very much started as a whim and then kind of built naturally. In order to like launch in a country, there's a lot more planning you have to do, because we're not going to start like a 400-person event in another country. Do you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be an actual festival. And so yeah, it's always open. We're always in communications. I don't know when or if it will happen, but it's possible.
And just another question here about the Wi-Fi. Do we buy it in advance? Not seen it anywhere.
No, I don't believe. Obviously, if that becomes an option, we'll post it. But the plan is that you will connect to it at the weekend, like you would, connect into a Wi-Fi on a plane or a train, and put in your details and pay for it there and then. So
makes sense. And then Lee, I can probably answer this question for you. He says, Jordan, we need a place to charge our phone. If you get glamping, you do. But then is there any other ways that people can charge their phones, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, it's not like people get a phone charger with glamping. Sorry. Wait, did you say VIP or glamping?
Glamping.
Yeah, okay.
You get electricity in your little tent thing, don't you?
Only if you request it. That's like even more expensive. That's not like a standard. So yeah. But yes, there will be an on-site phone charging facility this year. I believe ran by the same people who run Chickenish and the Green Grill. That's a new thing they're doing. So yeah, there will.
And I always just bring like a little battery charger pack anyway. It lasts me and whoever I'm with the whole weekend. So, we share it between us usually. So yeah, you can always get those little power bank things. Yeah, let's go then. I think now we can start to grill Jordan a little bit on some of the controversies maybe that have arisen for this year's camp out, because people will want to hear the answers to stuff. They always do. Who is it, Jordan, who's been kind of trying to cancel the camp out this year, and what were their motives? I mean, we alluded to this earlier. It mainly seems to be venue stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, the group of people who hate us will and do call us out on absolutely anything they can get us on. But I think the venue is a good way that they're able to like emotionally manipulate vegans into feeling bad, because it's like if they say, oh, Jordan's just done this or camp out's done that, people might just see it as like an operational issue, or all humans make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? But obviously vegans were sensitive people who really care about animals, so the venue is definitely a way they always try and turn people against camp out, like basically every year since we started. So yeah, that's the answer to that. I'll let you lead with specific questions.
So I think one of the problems then that they've kicked off about with the venue this year is something you mentioned earlier. Now, earlier in the stream, you claimed that you put in all the work to find a place that's, doesn't have some kind of hunting connection, is not a farm. Yeah. This year, people are saying you did not do that. It is on a shooting estate, and it's run by a farming family, run by a chicken factory farm or something, no less. What's the truth about these allegations?
Yeah. And just to be clear, I said earlier about like hosting, hunting and shooting. It's different with a connection, which is this point that we'll get into. And so basically, like, as well, I always say as people know, but I didn't know this until you get attacked and then you research stuff. So actually most people probably don't know this, but I think it's like 75 to 80% of all outdoor UK land is owned by animal farmers. I think if you include in hunters and shooters and all that, it's even higher, but just animal farmers own about 80% of UK land. And so I think people sometimes understandably think, well, that still leaves 20%, but it doesn't necessarily always work out like that way, because festival venues are always going to be in the places that are owned by farmland, because you don't get them in city centres, or you can't run a festival, again, that a lot of people think you can. They'll say, oh, what about my park? That's got a load of grass. And it's like, you will never see a camping festival in a park, because councils don't want them. They have completely different licenses for camping. Like, you would think that just because a place is hosting like 50,000 people to see Oasis in a park, that surely you can have people camping, but it's literally a completely different license that people have to work for like years just to get approved. And so almost every single venue in the country that is for festivals is within this 80% of UK land, and almost all of them physically are a livestock farm or a dairy farm or a hunting estate or a shooting estate where literal animals are being killed or exploited, or raised or slaughtered on the land, which many vegan festivals host their festivals at. Many animal sanctuaries hire their land from, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is just a reality of the world we live in. But especially because of the backlash we had in like 2019 and 2022, both at Newark Showground and Stamford Hall, we were like, okay, we can't just do what everyone else does, and we need to find venues. Like, just to be clear, this doesn't mean we will never do this, because if it came between having a venue for Camp Out and not, that the pros so far outweigh the negatives in any calculation. But when there's options, we've made the decision to not be at venues that physically host, livestock farming or, slaughterhouses, fox hunting, pheasant shooting, etc. But that is different to the fact that there might be landowners of that venue that are involved in such activities. And so that is the case for this year's venue, that there are landowners who are involved in pheasant shooting, animal farming, etc. But they're only part of the directors of the ownership of the land. None of them activities happen on sorry, there's like a military helicopter going over me right now.
Oh, they're coming for you, Jordan. They're spying on you.
Oh shit. But yeah, none of them activities happen on the land itself, being the first point. The second point being that it's not the whole of the management company of the venue, because our main person that we're renting the land from is actually like a lifelong vegetarian, or his kids are vegan and have been to Camp Out for the last 5 years. So, like, he really believes in the mission and the ethics of the venue. And most importantly, again, not that I knock anyone that does, because this is the case for an awful lot of vegan events and animal sanctuaries, but in our situation, none of our money goes to any of the people that are involved in them activities. But you just cannot avoid any connection of any of the landowners being involved in them activities themselves. You just can't. The absolute best situation you can get is to find a venue that actually wants to host you, is affordable, has weekends available, and isn't also a livestock farm or like a shooting or a hunting estate, type thing.
Yeah, but it sounds like you've actually done something pretty impressive then this year with regards to how the profit is working, because I wouldn't even see it as an ethical issue as long as you're not funding, non-vegan activities directly.
Yeah.
If the money did go to these people, because that's what we do anyway every time we buy anything. Just anything at all. But the fact that you've actually managed to, if anything, kind of divert the profit away from the group people are talking about this year, that's that makes it actually pretty damn impressive for actually how you managed to do this.
That's what blows my mind with it so much, because there's so many people who are saying like, you're literally funding animal abuse, and it's like, A, our money isn't even going to the people that you're talking about, and B, if it did, that's only then as bad as everything we ever buy from anywhere that isn't vegan ran, which is what 90% of our rent or our bills or whatever goes to it. And thirdly, it wouldn't even be funding, because in the same way you give money to your landlord who might be involved in the circus or be like have another job at a slaughterhouse, that doesn't fund them activities. Like, sure, it's all going to funnel down into the meat, dairy and eggs that they buy, but like, you would never see it that a vegan is doing something wrong by giving money to a non-vegan. And if you did, you would have to be consistent with that position. And people, that's what I meant by like the emotionally manipulative nature of it, that kind of when you focus on that point, it can really, like if I was saying to you right now, George, like, yeah, but your landlord isn't vegan, and you were like, so, and I started posting like, these are the pictures of the animals that George is responsible for killing through the animal holocaust that his landlord
Because
is
he's buying stuff with my money right now.
Yeah,
literally, like he's
exactly,
buying
like
animal products with my money. Like
and
there's not.
everyone would say how ridiculous that is, but
Yeah.
when people do it against us, there's just that, you know, group of people that fall for it, and I understand it, because not everyone necessarily thinks through things like me and you do on every issue. Some people are a bit more surface level than that, but yeah.
Well, I think they do know, but they specifically that they know all this. That they know all these analogies that you rightly explain here, but they persist with it anyway, because for some strange reason their goal is for some reason to just tear Camp Out down specifically, and not any of the other vegan events that happen every year. I mean, it's like this claim you get: capitalist. Oh, it's a capitalist event. It's a capitalist. It's a business. It's not a non-profit. Okay, do you eat at vegan restaurants? That's not a charity, mate. But if you go into Pizza or any of these other vegan chain restaurants in the UK, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of those with, you know, Jam Delish or whoever, all these great stalls that have been at previous Camp Outs or might be there this year. These aren't charities that you're going to. These are capitalist enterprises. You're sitting in Pizza, eating a pizza, while
typing on your phone,
typing angry comments about Jordan
on Reddit.
on Reddit, talking about vegan Camp Out being a capitalist event. I mean,
but the funniest thing, George, is their other vegan capitalist endeavors they support, whilst they get the bus home and get a plane on holiday and, you know, go to the cinema and buy Netflix, which are all non-vegan capitalist enterprises. So like they support non-vegan capitalist enterprises whilst telling people that vegan Camp Out is just a capitalist endeavor, and so people shouldn't support it, which even though it's not, because, you know, we post now so much about all the things Camp Out has done for animals. But even if we were just come to our event and have a beer and have a dance, there's so many other events like that, and no one thinks they're doing anything wrong because they're not also, like, you know, doing activism for the animals. But actually Camp Out does so much of that stuff as well. Like, it has that whole other side of, you know, things it's done for animals, money it's raised for businesses and non-profits and sanctuaries. So like, yeah, it's both together, you know.
Yeah, and Kane's brought up an interesting criticism here, and this is a shame because all of us here as vegans, we support the SABs and the great work that they do. But Kane says, I literally know people from Hunt SABs who say, I'm not going to VCO because I'm a SAB. Now, Jordan, why are they saying that? And is there anything you can say to convince those people maybe that, you know, not that you have to come, you cannot come, but maybe that's not necessarily the position to take, and that that you have every if you did want to go as a SAB, there's no contradiction there. That very sentence must be like the most popular misconception of Camp Out that somehow has been able to blossom, and you know, then people just repeat it, and you know, I can't blame them because you just believe what you've heard and it sticks, and you know, it is what it is. But yeah, there's nothing contradictory. It makes me laugh to say it, but there's nothing contradictory between being a SAB and going to vegan Camp Out. We have nothing but respect for people that save foxes. You know, I think there's some weird misconception that people involved with vegan Camp Out are like pro Hunt or something. Like, there's no one that's ever been on our team. Maybe there's someone that was on our team 7 years ago that's not vegan anymore or something, but there's no one that's prominent on our team that is pro fox hunting. We've had several SABs on our team over the years. Like, you know, there's probably 5 or 6 vegan Camp Outs that have had SABs on our main, like, core organization team. So yeah, I don't know why this really is spread. I know a few years ago a Hunt SAB group told people that they were banned from vegan Camp Out, even though they had been told by us directly that they weren't, and there was an issue with a previous venue that had been sorted and changed, but they never updated their post on Facebook to say, oh, okay, we are invited back now, everything's been
sorted. And so I think people, well, I know people to this day think that either the hunt sabs were banned, which never happened, or that even worse, the hunt sabs are still banned from the event, which certainly isn't the case. So yeah, come. I know, 50 sabs alone that come to Vegan Camp Out, and of course there's hundreds more. So, but unfortunately, there are a few that have believed this idea that we're either anti-sab or we're pro fox hunting, or that sabs are banned from the event, and none of it's true. So
yeah, and I just want to say as well, I also want to kind of dispose of this very common myth against Camp Out that has persisted since the earliest of days, which is that it doesn't care about activism. It's just like it's just this, piss up in a field or whatever. Which, by the way, there would be nothing. Yeah. There would be nothing wrong if it was that. Let's just say Vegan Camp Out was just a fun festival where everyone just goes, vegans just go to meet and listen to music. That would be fine anyway. But it is, and I'm an animal rights activist myself, like it's my life. It's a super activism focused event. There's it's all day activism talks. So you've got your music stuff here, you've got your activities and stuff, you've got all your food stalls, and then there's like a specific stage for activism and stuff where there's activist after activist after activist giving talks, how to get active, what to do, how to help abolish the meat industry and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, you got flipping Tash Peterson, for example, speaking again this year, one of the most despised animal rights activists by the meat industry in the world. Alongside many other fantastic activists. So that's one myth that I definitely wanted to dispel as well.
Yeah, there's so many things, like you say, there's the activism stage, which is like probably about 30 talks throughout the weekend, but then there's many activists even on the main stage, which is like extra to that. So there's probably like 35 talks either about activism or by activists on, their lives or more behind the scenes of their activism. And then there's all the money Camp Out raises for animal sanctuaries. Many animal sanctuaries have raised the most money they've ever made at VCO. We donate, I think, like 15,000 every year to Viva. There's probably about 80 to another 100 grand that's per year that's raised through the event for charities. And then from what we know, well over 1,000 people have gone vegan or become an activist through purely attending the festival. So there's a whole myriad of ways that it also helps the community, the animals, activism, and all the rest.
Now, I just want to. This is a really good comment here from John, so I just want to give credit to that. VCO helped me start doing activism from the inspirational talks. Yeah, and I know people. In fact, both John and I, because I know John, we do activism together in Bristol. We know a couple in our activism group, Magda and Greg, who went vegan because of Camp Out. Like they went to Camp Out one year as non-vegans, and then now not only vegan but animal rights activists because of that. The Bearded Vegan, I think, have they already have they dropped yet, Jordan? The stage times and the camp layout?
No, only the day splits are out so that people can know what's happening on what day, if they can only buy a day ticket, and then they can decide which day ticket they want. But yeah, stage times probably mid-July, map probably early August. That's probably the timeline for them things.
And I think I'm just going to grill you about one more thing before we get back to the fun stuff, Jordan. One common complaint that we've had this year about this year's Camp Out is that it's going to be disruptive to wildlife because you've got these big loud ass DJ sets like in the middle of a wood, which is, that sounds concerning, right, to the average vegan. What is the deal with that?
Yeah, so there is, like, I think when people think woods, they think like dense woodland that's got a whole thriving ecosystem. But most of the venue is just that there's trees everywhere. You might see a bird, flying from tree to tree. But what I'm saying is it's very standard of any other venue we've ever been at. The reason it's called Bygrave Woods is because there is dense woodland, like, you know, very far from where we're having our venue, as there is in loads of places in the countryside. But we're not having our festival there. 90% of our festival is still completely, like, not even a tree in sight, like completely open air. Well, still be open air even if there was a tree, but you get what I mean. It's not even like sparse woodland, it's just completely open air. The only bits that we're having in any kind of woodland, and it's still very sparse, is the things that aren't loud, like I say, like yoga and meditation and picnic benches and stuff like that. Where we're having the DJ sets has got some trees around it, but it's completely open air. But that's just like how it is, you know, at previous venues. Out where our stage was for our DJ sets at the previous venue was also open air and about 50 meters from where, you know, trees existed, where, yeah, you know, that there is going to be animals on site. I'm not trying to deny that. What I am saying is that it's no different to any other festival, and it's also no different to any previous camp out. Now, that's not necessarily an excuse within itself if it is causing environmental destruction, but I guess, you know, you know this, George, too. People always having debates kind of within vegan circles, and if you're someone that avoids open air concerts, outdoor festivals, you know, street carnivals, etc., because of the noise that they might, you know, and disruption that they might give to outdoor wildlife, then obviously that's commendable. But from the thousands of vegans I've met and know in my life, that doesn't apply to 99% of them. And so, yeah, that's all I can say to that. At the same time, we do always have a look around all the areas that we're using. We have someone that's helping us out who actually has, you know, like, what's the word? He studies wildlife and specifically badgers and badger sets and stuff like that. So
like an ecologist kind of thing.
Yeah. So he's even given us advice, and he'll let us know, you know, if there's any areas we're using that there is, you know, badger sets nearby, and we can put up a sign saying, you know, badger set nearby, don't, you know, walk over here, you know. So we're taking all the most appropriate steps we can. At the same time, we're not actually a festival that's blasting loud music in the woodland until like 4 a.m. All the music will end by 1 a.m. anyway. And like I say, wherever we're having loud music is either in a tent or it's in an open air space, not in like densely populated woodland with, you know, lots of habitats and all the rest. So yeah.
Nice. All right, we've got Joe here. How you doing, Joe? Is it right you have a discount for activists this year?
Yeah, sorry. So when I said through all the different kinds of tickets you can get earlier, then there's a whole load of different discounts that we have. So every activist in the world, whether you're a frequent weekly or monthly activist of your local activism, or if you even just do it a few times a year when you can, you know, which is it's probably just as many people that do it frequently. All of them people anywhere in the world get 25% discount for being an activist, as like a thank you for what all the activists around the world do. On top of that 25%, a further £10 is donated to an activism group of your choosing. So that's one discount we have. Then we also have our local resident discount, which is 50% off. That's something you have to kind of like, you know, you're urged to do with, you know, the venue and the local council, because it's a good thing of giving back to the local community. You obviously want to keep the local community on side when you're holding a large event in their tiny little town. So yeah, if you live, I think it's within 5 or 10 miles of the venue, that's a discount. And then we also have a vegan runners discount as well if you're a member of Vegan Runners. So yeah.
Great. So yeah, who said Vegan Camp Out doesn't care about activists? And that could be another thing as well with regards to the Sabs, some of the Sabs who are saying, you shouldn't go and or are fearful of what others think about if they might come. Number one, they can get a discount for proving that they're a member of the Sabs. Number two, they can donate part of the ticket money to the Sabs as well. So it's putting money back into the Sabs or any activist group of their choosing. What about transport then, Jordan, for this year's venue? What's the accessibility like?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, we did a poll the other day, and it looks like a lot more people are driving this year, but then a lot more people also get in the coach because it is a bit harder to get to from like trains and stuff. So kind of makes sense that more people are getting our coach service that we have from many cities around the country, and also a few more people are driving this time as well. But then there is still a lot of people getting the train. And what we are doing, because you can't walk from the train station to the venue, and also like there's not going to be that many taxis because it's quite a small town, we have got a coach service. We are going to be posting the details on how to book that coach service. I believe it's I think it's £11 or something like that return. So that's both ways, because it's like a 10 or a 15-minute journey from the train station. So yeah, just watch out for that. Hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks, we're going to post all of the timings. That applies for the Thursday and the Friday, because this year that's been split in arrivals for the 2 different days based on when you're coming. But yeah, there will be a coach doing multiple times all throughout the day, Thursday, Friday, and then we'll also take people back to the coach station on Monday when the festival finishes.
So not to be negative, but how big is this coach going to be, Jordan? Because I remember one year's camp out, you had like a coach service going from the station, and I think you guys maybe underestimated the coach. It was like this little, basically like a 6-seater taxi or something going back for this giant queue at the train station in the middle of Nottinghamshire.
It definitely wasn't 6. I think it was maybe like 16 or 20 or something, but yeah, this is 52-seater, and it's going to be doing a trip every hour of Thursday and Friday, right from 12 up until like 8 or 9 p.m. on both days. So yeah, because also, like, if people were only coming on the Friday, like it was the year you were talking about, then not only would we need a bigger coach, but we would also need 2 vehicles. But because it's about 50% of people coming on Thursday, 50% on Friday, we've got this big 52-seater doing all day. So yeah, if you do get there and you've just missed the coach, it's only going to be half an hour or an hour, I can't remember the exact times, but there's going to be another one, because your train might be late and you might miss a coach or something, but you won't have long to wait. So yeah.
Cool, good stuff. I think I've asked you pretty much most or all of the questions I wanted to ask, Jordan. I've put a link obviously in the description where people can get their tickets and stuff. Is there anything else you wanted to go through, discuss before we say bye?
No, not really. We are now down to, now below, because it was 2 days ago, but yeah, we're now 2 days ago we hit 20% of tickets left, which is very exciting. So yeah, get your tickets if you haven't already got them. Feel free to send us a DM or an email anywhere on social media or at our email address. If you have any questions about coming, especially if it's your first time and you still, after watching this, have a few questions that would make it easier for you to know what you're doing, what to bring, what tickets you need, what different things are available, just send us a message. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for having me on, George.
Cheers, Jordan. Yeah. And one quick one before we go. People want to know this. How many food stalls this year, Jordan?
There is 46 this year.
46 guys. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, 46 vegan food stalls. Where can
that's another thing I didn't mention, that we take a lot of pride in saying that we are the biggest selection of vegan food, at an event in UK history. So if you like vegan food, which I imagine you do if you're a vegan, otherwise that'd be a bit awkward.
Otherwise, why are you here? Yeah.
Yeah, if you like vegan food and the most variety of vegan food that you've ever seen, even really compared to America, like I think we have more vegan food vendors than any event, even in America, which is just wild at this point. So yeah, if you're all about the food as well as all the other amazing things, come and check that out.
Lorna just asks, what's there on the Thursday with regards to the food?
Yeah, so the Thursday and the Friday is just everything is open, and DJ sets are running and open mic performances are running and everything. The only things that are only happening on the Saturday and the Sunday is like the official live music or talks. Other than that, everything is the same on the Thursday and the Friday.
Cool. Yeah. And I'll just say as well, with the amount of food stalls that you've had over the past few years, the queues have been excellent, like really quick. I found getting food, which is such a refreshing thing compared to so many festivals, including one year at the camp out. Was it the 2017 one where it was just like you probably had about 5 food stalls because like however many
3,000 people, yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that was, you might as well have just brought a packed lunch. It was a great camp out nonetheless, but yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, I wish I'd have just bought some sandwiches or something. But yeah, no, the past few years, guys, don't worry, it has been absolutely fantastic, and you haven't had to queue really for any of the food, and really good food. So
yeah, I didn't know anything about ratios back then, and like we had 4 food vendors. Like we had a 5th one because one came in on the last day just to help us because of how crazy it was. But for the first like 24 hours, we had 4 when we should have had 13 by like the ratio we use now. So like less than a third of what we should have had.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, Jordan, it's been great. Thank you for coming on and handling the heat, answering all the questions, including the controversies. And I hope that puts a lot of that stuff to bed, because let's just focus on making this a really great, positive camp out for this year. And we will see you all there this year, end of August, Bygrave Woods, Hertfordshire, guys. Get your tickets. They're in the link to this video. And we will see you very, very soon.
Cool. Thanks, George.